What's up, y'all? We are here. Fight Court. I'm Dean Thomas. That's Ryan Quinn. And Ryan Quinn, I commend you. I take my hat off to you. I applaud you. You said it. It's the sea snake behind me.
Yeah. Dude, boom.
Yeah.
If Mo's watching this and I didn't get that within 30 seconds, he might disown me as a friend.
Mo?
Mo's the biggest House of Dragons fan.
Is he?
Oh, he's the one who got me in a Game of Thrones.
I didn't realize he was a House of Dragons Game of Thrones fan.
Yeah, we'll group text after this. He's gone down rabbit holes about researching the dragons. He knows everything.
I had no idea.
I saw actually, when's the next season coming out? All right, anyway, what's it up there for? What do you got him up there for?
I don't know. I kind of look like him with the beard. So I feel like if I put myself in front of him and his hair is coming down, then I feel like I'm the sea snake.
There you go.
Yeah.
We can get you a bleach blonde wig like that dude from Mad TV that looks like Patty Pimblett.
Yeah.
But no, that was great. Anyway, you just got in. Well, I was about to say how'd it go, but let's get into one thing that I was really interested in asking about. How's Gillian? What's going on there?
Gillian's good, man. I mean, it was, I never complain about these type of situations. So just to add some context, Gillian Robertson, who I've coached since she first started in martial arts back 13 years ago. She was 16 years old. Well, she was supposed to fight Amanda Lemos on this card. We found out at noon yesterday that Amanda Lemos had to pull out due to a medical situation. So Gillian did not get the fight. She was ranked number 10, fighting the number 5. Hopefully, if we had gotten past this one, we would have called for a title shot. The fight didn't happen. It's getting pushed to March 14th. But obviously, she was bummed out when she first heard. Then last night, she was in good spirits. Like she bounces back fast.
Yeah.
She cries, but she bounces back fast.
Yeah. No, I get it. Well, that's great. They rescheduled it. They're not shelving it. And 4 months? Not so bad. I'm good. I'm glad that all's working out. I'm glad it's all working out. What'd you think of the fights after that?
So well, obviously I was in Vegas all week. I stayed from last week. I did UFC BJJ on Thursday, did the pre-show. Gillian's fight gets canceled. I still did the post-show. I still worked the broadcast. I thought the fights were pretty good. I thought that it was like 12 fights, like 6 finishes. I thought some of the fights we could have did without.
Yeah.
But all in all, I thought the fights were really good. But I thought the storylines behind some of the fights, and I thought some of the performances made up for maybe the lack of entertainment from some of the other fights. I thought Melquizael Costa was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Kevin Vallejos had his breakout performance, and then obviously Manel Kape did his thing.
So, 2 things I want to touch on. We talked about stories. First, I'm a big Melissa Croden fan. Now she lost. However, I feel the ceiling is very high for that young lady, and it looked like a fight that she could learn from. Like she got stuck in the mud in some areas.
Yeah.
And then that one headlock at the end, it's like that sucks. But is it a fight she wins in a month from now? I don't know. Is it a fight she wins in a year from now? I think so. I like what I saw out of her. But the best story, well, there's 2 stories. I know I don't want to mess up his name here. Stephen Asplund.
Yeah, Asplund. Yeah.
Asplund. Yeah.
Jelly Roll Jr.
Yeah. I didn't hear his I didn't hear his post fight. I had it on mute, but I tell you, man, like he's not just a fat dude who lost some weight. He's had some volume behind his striking, and he looked like he was in shape. Like he's like in physical, like not aesthetically speaking, but he was in good shape he was in fight shape.
Well, so that's such a tricky thing to navigate around, like the way he looks, because when you first see him, you think, oh, the UFC can't put this guy out there. Like he's just like, like no, you can't do it. But he can fight.
Yeah,
and he's tough as nails, and he's great. So like if you put him out there initially, right, and he's never fought before and he gets knocked out, it looks bad. But because he can fight, it's gonna he's gonna have the polar opposite effect because he can fight. And you didn't listen to the interview. He had the best interview of the night. He had a great call out. He's so relatable. I think he has the potential to be a star. Now, this is what I'm talking about. You have to lean. If last night taught us anything, is that is to lean into your differences.
Yes.
500 pounds. He used to weigh 500 pounds. He lost all this weight. He can fight his ass off. He can talk his ass off. He's going to be a star. Like if he can string together some wins, I think the UFC can push him. And what we might have saw as a negative for what his body looks like will end up being a positive.
Absolutely, 1000%. Especially in this day and age where characters are the trend, so to speak. I feel like we're kind of getting away from that a little bit. But who's the bad guy? Who's the most energy? He is such an organic story that the UFC needs something like this in their plots. And I just think he's so good for. Well, and he's such an inspirational story, losing all the weight. I just think he's perfect for the UFC needs him more than they think. I think. Well, they don't need anybody, but I think he's going to be a lot more useful for the UFC. He's more important than giving off.
And the same thing with Melquizael Costa. This guy had vitiligo, and we've seen that kind of. It's gotten worse over the years, and we've seen it. But he leaned into it. Like he started leaning into it, obviously, when he started fighting. But he's fully leaning into it now that you can't deny him. Like
Yeah.
when you see him and you're just like, yo, what is going on? But you can't deny him. And he leans into it to where his nickname is the Dalmatian.
Yeah, that was, and his body language is so like, and like you can't even tell. In fact, his body language is so confident that even in the pre-fight, it's like there's no timidity whatsoever in that man. And he's just, it is what it is. The Dalmatian, like you said. And then even after, he's another one who I didn't listen. I'm sorry, guys, I gotta start listening to the post-fight shit. But I I've never said that before tonight. But before a weird UFC Vegas card. Now I got to start listening. That's what's getting me listening to the post fights. But you could just tell his body language was so confident. He was just, this is me, and like, yeah, it's like we need shit like that, and that's what I love to see because I'm over the entertainment value, so to speak. I want real people, and this is what we got last night.
And they can fight, and that's exactly what the UFC wants. That's what Paramount's going to want. That's what everybody's going to want are these stories where these kids can fight, but they're relatable and they're not afraid of who they are. They're leaning into their differences. But it's tricky though, because like if they initially come out and they're different and then they get beat up, then it would look bad. But these guys, but I'm almost thinking that because they're so used to being laughed at and they have something to prove, that they're fighting better.
Yeah. They can't be embarrassed.
Yeah, like, you can't embarrass them. And they're fighting better. And they're not going out there and they're not falling apart and they're not getting nervous and they're going out there and they're just, I think we're in such a good place with these fighters now where they're just going out there. And so last night was sort of the theme. And I didn't even think about that till right now, like between Asplund and, and Costa and in his own way, even Manel Kape.
Yeah.
Even Manel Kape. I mean, Manel Kape is a unique individual. I mean, this guy speaks like multiple languages. He's from Angola, grew up in Portugal, speaks, Portuguese, speaks English, speaks whatever they speak in Angola. So, I mean, this guy's a very unique individual, and his talent speaks before he does.
It's so funny you say that. This whole time, for some reason, I thought he was from Long Island. I thought he was from Queens or something. I swear to God. He was like, oh man, look at that flag. Oh shit. All right.
No, he's African.
Yeah.
He's African, speaks fluent Portuguese, speaks great English. Yeah, he's something else. And his speed is obviously a little bit different, but
there was another story. Oh, his speeds. Well, let's hold off on that. I wanted it because I loved what I saw from his striking. He did something that's very unique, but we'll go after. There was another story with Amosav from So, I remember him at the gym. He was quiet, but always working hard. I remember he had a really strong body lock, and very strong grip. Clearly developed. He won the title with Bellator, and then he had to go serve time in the military over in Ukraine. Then he came back. Now he's in the UFC, had a big win. Fantastic story. Really like the guy, but his anaconda transition from half guard to anaconda. I usually tell people when I'm training, you got to be careful with that. It's fool's gold because from that half guard position, you feel like you can get the Darce, the anaconda, and it's really you can't get much there. It's just it's not. I watched the finish a few times, and I don't know. I felt like the way he just the way he like reached under but kept his weight on the guy's chest. It was so. I don't know. Did you put any time into that? Looking at it, it
Like
was
the
pretty nice to
transition
see.
and all that. I
Yes, the
didn't.
trend. Yeah,
No, I didn't necessarily focus on the
yeah.
transition. I mean, my
He's got long
analytical
arms, so
mind would, but because I was working the desk,
yeah,
those are things that aren't the most interesting
for sure.
for that audience. So the big storyline with him was
All
he
right.
came from Bellator, highly touted, but we didn't really talk about him the same way we talked about Patchy Mix or Aaron Pico or
Yeah.
any of the other guys, right? It's like he kind of came in quietly,
Mm-hmm.
or even Michael Chandler. Amosav came in quietly and won.
Yep. And one nice. And
Yeah,
beat Neil
and won
Magny. Neil Magny's
and
pretty good.
beat Neil Magny, right? He came in quiet. He wasn't even supposed to be. I call it the prelim main event. He wasn't even supposed.
Yeah, I
That
call
fight
it that
wasn't
too.
even. That fight got pushed up because Gillian's fight got canceled, and then it wasn't even the main event for prelims until later on. Later on in the day, they were like, you know what? Let's just make this the prelim main event.
Hmm. Dude, I'm kind of laughing because you're the UFC BJJ commentator, and you're like, oh, I don't have any time for that BJJ at the UFC fight.
I know.
No, no,
It's
but
interesting, right? Like
yeah,
I'm the commentator for UFC BJJ. Yet I'm like, we're not talking about the BJJ that he used.
yeah, but no, but check that out because he was I'm sure his long arms helped it. His long arms helped the situation. But it was sweet. But okay, back to Manel Kape. So I really loved how I saw first he's got some seriously quick hands. Uh I didn't think Brandon Royval would be getting finished in the first round. I loved how if you watch it, he was moving his head with his punches, and then he recognized when to tighten up mid combination and started going pop up down the middle before he landed the hook. It was nice. I've never seen somebody do that so fluidly before.
Yeah, Manel Kape is really, and we've all said it.
Hmm.
And everybody kind of knew it too. Like all the coaches, and I talked to Nick Sick a lot, and I don't know if you remember Sal. Sal used to train at Top Team.
Yeah.
Swedish dude. He was in Manel's corner last night.
Hmm.
And but I talked to him a lot at the Goat Shed. But we all know how talented Manel is. It was a matter of focus and injuries and just getting his shit together. But now it seems like he's got his shit together, and like he just does some amazing stuff. And he does it from a place of like he's just like here, and then it just
Yeah.
boom. You know what I'm saying? Just
Hmm.
boom. I don't like it's. You can't stand in front of that guy.
No.
And
No.
I thought stylistically, Brandon Royval was a bad matchup for him because Brandon Royval doesn't have the greatest feet to get out of the way of the speed, and he doesn't have the best defense when he's coming forward. So just stylistically, it was a bad matchup for Brandon Royval. But not to say that I counted Royval out. It's just that stylistically, as we saw what happened, that's a stylistic nightmare for him. We saw
Right.
what happened. So like that result didn't surprise me. The fact that he got finished does surprise me, but still it's part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, you know, so I'll I'll look more into it. I don't want to say what I don't know yet, but I wonder if there's a correlation between, well, there is a correlation the way he lost to Joshua Van and the way he lost last night. I just don't know exactly what it is yet, other than the quick striking. But yeah, when you could transition like Cop did, like I feel like I know you and I spoke about this last week shortly after we stopped airing, was that working memory where how to figure out how to make that adjustment in time, in game time, where moving your head with punches to going straight down the middle and standing like stuff like that just raises your game just so because it's nothing crazy advanced. It's just how quickly you could chain basic concepts together. And if you could do that in this game, you're ahead of the curve. And I think that the sky's gonna be the limit for him, man. Yeah, he could do a lot of damage in that weight division.
I think that so you talk about the disconnect between what Brandon Royval is doing. I think it's a
Mm.
speed issue. It's an
Mm-hmm.
energy
Okay.
system and speed issue. Like his
Yeah.
energy system operates at like let's say it's a level 3, like a third gear, and he sees the game in third gear. And when these guys take it up to 5, he just can't see it.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Hmm.
He just doesn't see it, and it just gets past him. But he's normally tough enough to weather it and then keep it in third. And when these guys that go to the gear 5, they have to sometimes slow down the 1. He's still in 3, and he's putting pressure on them, and then he forces them to fight at 3, in which he's better, and then he can get them down to 1, and then he just overwhelms them. But when they get to 5, like he just can't see it. You know what I'm saying? His eyes and his energy system just doesn't recognize it. And Manel Kape has so much power and accuracy that he just never let him recover from that.
So if you're Brandon Royval's coach, how do you slow down the game for him? How do you get him to slow things down?
Like part of it is just first you have to recognize that, and a lot of people don't like to recognize their weaknesses like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for him, he's raw dog. He's super tough and super durable.
Mhm.
That he probably just like, yo, I'm just gonna go through it. I'm gonna walk him down. And they're like, yo, use your length and chip away a little bit. But but when that speed comes forward, now you're forced to deal with it. So, and he just couldn't keep up with it. And he backed himself into the fence as well. So, like, that didn't help. So, like, at times, another thing too is, man, these guys got to learn how to shoot better when they're not hurt.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a big weapon to keep people from just being able to come forward on you.
Because you shoot underneath it.
You
Yeah.
shoot. Like, if you
And
can recognize it and shoot, they're not going to come forward as often.
it's not as difficult, especially in MMA. It's definitely in MMA. It's not as difficult as it would be in traditional wrestling. It's a level change. And I think that's a necessary thing that people have to get down. Um, you bring up recognizing your weaknesses and wanting to do that. I've been listening to I don't know, I just been listening to a lot of like short form sports psychologists lately on like Sirius and stuff like that, just hearing what people have to say about certain things. Overall, I feel that they're a little preachy and they're like heavy on the quotes and shit like that. And I'm like, I don't know. To me, that's not like I want like what's the raw material that we're working with here? Like that's kind of how I feel about it. But maybe they're just trying to amp it up for a podcast.
And
But
they're selling something.
yeah,
Yeah, so yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
for
I just
sure.
mean I buy real and organic, but I've come down to how to get a fighter to recognize, or an athlete will just say to recognize their weaknesses. Recognize what your strengths are first. What's your identity as a fighter? Me, I'm a wrestler, so I want to get the fight to the ground, but this is MMA. My striking sucks, so it's got to get a little bit better. It's got to complement my wrestling. I can't just say I don't want to do it. I don't want to focus on that because I don't like it. As long as an athlete could focus on what their identity is and how other areas could supplement it, then they could mitigate their weaknesses. And then that's a little bit more of a comfortable transition, I feel like, to focus on your weaknesses. That's
Well,
what I
yeah, no, you're right about that because I
Mhm.
always say this too is like, the idea isn't to just recognize your weaknesses and then just ignore it, but it's to supplement it with something else. So like
Bingo.
when you're making decisions, and I always go, so the reason why a lot of like wrestlers in the past were like, oh, don't waste your time with a takedown, is because there was no real reward for them when they got on the ground because they sucked on the ground. That
Yep.
was a weakness for them. So what's the
Mhm.
point of taking somebody down if you're weak down there? But
Mhm.
if you're good down there and you got like a really good choke, like now you have some more motivation to get people down. So now you can use your strength because then when you go down, it's not just a weak area for you. Now you have some motivation for getting people down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If nothing else, just positioning and learn how to pop. Actually, I watched Smashing Machine for the first time last night.
Oh, I didn't see it yet. Is it
Oh,
good?
it's
Make you
very
tired?
heavy.
Is it?
Very, very, very heavy. Um, but Bas Rutten talks about something I'm ashamed to say I'd never thought about this. Actually, I should blame it on you guys for never teaching me this. But it talks about how in ground and pound, you punch the stomach, and I definitely am a victim of this. Um, Punch the stomach, and then when you go on to go body, body, head, don't look at the head. Just keep like it's just like in boxing. Like you
Right.
keep
Yeah.
looking in the
Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always body, body, head. I definitely always did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Smash Machine was
Um, I saw. I just recently spent some time with Bas Rutten on a
Mhm.
personal level, working with karate combat. In no way, shape, or form, I'm saying we're friends and we call each other, but
uh
I've had some very intimate conversations with him about the game, and I was shocked of how smart he was in fighting. Like, so when you think of Bas Rutten, you think of this guy headbutting people and Street
yeah.
Fighter type, and he's not like that. And
Mhm.
who dined me off to that at first was Asim Zaidi, the president of Karate Combat, the owner of Goat Shed, who's very smart. He's black belt jiu-jitsu, and he's super smart, trained with Danaher and Faraz and all them guys. But he was like, yo, he brought and he thought the same thing about Boss. He thought Boss was gonna be a bonehead. He brought Boss in to do a seminar at Goat Shed and was shocked at how knowledgeable and technical Boss was. So I'm sitting at Karate Combat, we're back and we're talking about the game, and he was talking about how he's got like post-it notes around his house of like different ideas when he comes up with ideas, and he's like he'll come up with an idea and he'll have to try it out on his wife like right then and there, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like he
That's
like he
awesome.
was this, yeah, I couldn't believe it. So never judge a book by its cover. I'm sitting there thinking he's like a head button bite you type guy, but
Mhm.
he's super smart, and he was telling me about all these different things, and he was like, because he didn't really learn jujitsu the traditional way, he almost had to teach himself. And I was like, I can relate to that. Me too.
I
So
remember his jujitsu game was very brute. Is a good word?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like you think
Yeah.
of him as a brute, but
Mhm.
he's not really a brute. Like he's a very intellectual, calculated, thoughtful guy. And I never thought of Boss Root that way. So when you're telling me he said something in this movie and you think about, yo, Boss is actually super smart, not just a brute like he comes off.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
um speaking of brutes, Kevin Vallejos.
Wow. Wow. Well, I mean, we've seen spinning back fist before, but spinning back fist face the floor on Chikaze, I did not
Yeah.
think I was going to see that. That was awesome. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
I feel part of me felt for Jacade. It's just
Mhm.
this game is so brutal. And this, so I'm gonna tie this into Gillian actually. And
Mhm.
that is, it's champions and careers are not really defined by how good you are. I mean, you have to be good, no doubt. It's just it really is timing. Like think of Chikaze's career. Like when he came out, he was so good, so strong, and then he got plagued with all these injuries. So his best years were dealing with injuries.
Yeah.
And now he was on like a two fight losing streak. He had lost three of his last four. They bring him up against this young kid, and he's lost three of his last four. All these injuries. And now he's fighting this power puncher, and we'll never see a great Giga Chikadze again.
Hmm.
And I don't like to write people off, but in this situation, it's done, man. Like his
We've
better
read the book
years.
before.
Yeah, like exactly. I've read the book
Hmm.
multiple times,
Hmm.
and that's part of why, and that's why I said I'm going to tie this into Jillian. It's why I'm tying this into Jillian because she was so ready for this fight, which could have catapulted her. She didn't get to do it. Now she has to wait 4 months, which again, who knows where she's going to be at in life in 4 months,
Hmm.
and which could maybe it work out for the better, maybe work out worse for her. So it's not really about who's the best. It's about who can catch it at the right time, how things line up
Absolutely,
for them at the
man.
right time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's why MMA is so much more of a reminder of that than any other sport because the good guy loses in the most weird situations. Like it's not even like it's just it's so hard to do it. And yeah, there's just so much that could happen both in and out of the cage, like you said. who'd you break up with? Who's what were you playing basketball and tear your ACL? Like it's just it's so much it's so much more abrupt. It's not solid at all because like in baseball, your next game is tomorrow. And then in football, it's next week. Here it's 4 months away. And like, think about what happens to all those athletes after 4 months, where they get traded to, what kind of diet they didn't stick with. And that happens in MMA as well. It just shit happens.
I mean, but even Pantoja, like Pantoja was on this run to being the greatest
Yeah.
flyweight ever. Like he really was like in the conversation with being the greatest flyweight ever. He has this freak accident happen to him. And now like I'm not sure he comes back and is dominant again. And he lost his
Mm.
momentum.
Yeah.
More than anything, what is he, 37 years old?
Yep.
37, lost his
Mhm.
momentum. So, and I'm not sure he's like, I thought he was going to beat Joshua Van. I thought he was going to beat Joshua Van. I thought he had a good shot at beating, you know, Taida. Like that was up in the air for me. But man, but now off of this injury, coming back, if he has to fight a guy like Manel Kape, man, I don't know if he wins that fight.
Mhm.
And now off of this injury, I don't know if he beats Taida coming off of an injury.
No. Um, yeah. One thing he had for him is he had pretty sneaky movement on his feet for a quote unquote jujitsu guy, and with that injury he had, that might go away. So, talking about complimenting your strengths. He clearly did that. And now this injury might take away his 1B motion, his 1B
Yeah.
plan. It's going to be tough, especially at 37. Like we've said so many times, fighters age overnight, like we just talked about. Oh man, I'm rooting for him. I like his story.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
rooting
his
for him.
story, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, but we'll see. I'm with you.
the timing of this injury couldn't have been worse because he may never get a chance to fight Joshua Van because Joshua Van will probably have to fight some of the other guys, which leaves Pantoja with
On the shelf.
on the shelf. But like when he comes back, the guys like because I don't think Joshua Van is the best fighter in that division. And it's the easiest one for him to win
So
against.
let's say I yeah, let's just say for argument's sake, Joshua Van wins his next fight. So that'll take his second defense, let's say 10, 11 months from now, upon Pantoja's return.
Yeah.
The rematch is kind of a fart in the wind now. I think that Pantoja would have to fight like a Kyoji and or a Taita. And that's probably not Kyoji. They'll probably want him to fight for the belt, especially now that Josh Van's there. But it's nothing's favorable.
Yeah.
Even if he's healthy, nothing's favorable. Like there's too much going on. Like you said, the timing.
Well, speaking of, they just announced Kyoji versus Amir Albazi.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, yeah, and
I,
that's
I
and
missed
he's
that.
and Amir Albazi's tailor made for Kyoji.
Yeah.
Like Amir Albazi's a straightforward, doesn't move well.
Hmm.
I mean, he's solid defensively, but just like
Oh, I
Kyoji's
did see
so
that this
fast.
weekend. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like he's tailor made for Kyoji, like with the speed of Kyoji. Like he just doesn't move quick enough.
Kyoji's like the one exception from everything we just discussed on timing. That dude is
Yeah,
just
right. Yeah.
that dude is just
Well,
something else.
every once in a while, there's an outlier.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
an
and
out-
that's
Kyoji
Kyoji.
might Kyoji might be the outlier, but
Uh-huh.
but you never. But I mean, but even look at Kyoji's career. Like certain mishaps that you couldn't have predicted happened to him, like him getting spinning back fist knocked out by Sergio Pettis. Like you wouldn't have
Yeah,
predicted that. Like
not in a
would you
million
see you
years.
see that coming?
Hmm.
It didn't deter him from his greatness, but that also didn't happen in the UFC, where it seems like losses in the UFC weigh more on a fighter. Not even just like perception wise, but just also like it feels like there's a tangible weight on a fighter when you lose in the UFC. It's like, oh
Yep.
man, like now there's pressure and it's tough. Like Buchecha talked about that, talked about the pressure being in the UFC. Um,
Yeah.
I thought he says he obviously it's still affecting him, or maybe he's just too old to get it. But what'd you think
That-
of that Buchecha last
Yeah.
night?
Um, I thought he was looking good until, I mean, usually I say this when somebody loses, but I thought he was looking good until he didn't. Like the way he was just trying to hang on to jiu-jitsu with that back take where his hips were low. And um I mean, the weight class could use him. I thought that I thought he was gonna beat up Kennedy. I really did.
You thought he's gonna beat him up?
I thought he was gonna take him down and do his thing. And it kind of was looked like that was gonna happen until it didn't. And then it was just kind of a lot of minimal. What'd you think?
I think I think Buchecha made out. I think he got lucky last night.
Okay.
Made out, got lucky with a
Yep.
draw. Won with a draw because without the eye poke,
Yeah. I'm not
loses
gonna
that
fight you
fight.
on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
hmm
loses that without the eye poke.
hmm
But the eye poke, I'm not saying the eye poke was not justified. It
hmm
was the point was justified for sure. But I thought that Kennedy, uh, if Kennedy had a little more experience fighting grapplers, like heavy grapplers like that, and he beats Buchecha. Like Kennedy, like he man, I thought Kennedy was gonna knock him out at some point. I was like, yo, he's gonna knock him out. Like because Buchecha is just like really super desperate to get
Yeah.
beat out. And there were times like Kennedy was like re-wrestling him. Like, what are you doing?
hmm
And you're engaging back into the grappling with this guy. So Kennedy made that's what I'm saying. Like he made some bad mistakes in terms of decision making with Buchecha to allow Buchecha to stay in. And I picked Buchecha to win. I was rooting for him to win because I picked him to win. But
hmm
I just thought, oh man, he I don't know if he can ever get it, but he just don't have it.
Yeah, he's got a I feel like with that, it's like with more so with jujitsu players coming into MMA than strikers, is pick your two or three submissions, and then we'll figure out how to get those off of ground and pound. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
we gotta mitigate, we gotta subtract on the ground for you right now and just add positioning. Um, and then encourage them, hey, chokes are probably better here. You don't want to end up on bottom. We say position before submission for a reason. Um, and I don't think that I think he's still looking for some jujitsu play on the ground. And he's gonna get messed up against the wrong person with that.
Well, and here's where it got really bad for me. Is he was in mount for I think over a minute
Yeah.
throwing elbows and did
Mm,
not hurt Kennedy.
no good.
I was like, this like the rest of the I can forgive him for the other stuff. But to be mounted and throwing elbows for like a minute and you didn't hurt the guy, I can't forgive you for that. Like
Who was
that's
in his corner? I didn't even see.
Pahumpa, Shoeface, and someone else.
It's a little surprising that they would know to teach some ground and pound. Maybe
Well,
he's just
no,
not.
so I thought, but he looked better than the first fight. There was certainly improvements, and
Yeah.
and part of the reason why I picked him, I was like, yo, I think Pahumpa's gonna, Pahumpa's really good at transitioning jujitsu guys to be better at MMA. He just didn't have enough time, and sometimes when you're like Buchecha, you're 13-time world champion. Like it's just hard to learn new tricks. This is why I think
It's
he can't
fair,
get it,
especially
and
at the
you can
heavyweight
see it,
division.
because at the heavyweight division and he's been so comfortable doing things for the last 20 years that to say, nah, man, don't do that. Stay on top and punch this guy and lean into it. And he's like, nah, I'd rather get the back.
Yeah, yeah,
So I just don't think that he's going to be able to get it no matter who is working with him, especially with the timeline that he has to do it in.
yeah. I agree. I agree. But
So what do you got coming up, man?
I don't know. Some college football playoffs coming up. Just
How do we deal with this layoff?
oh man, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure.
Let's start a good rumor
Yeah.
and then we'll have something to talk about.
Well, that's always the UFC's best thing, and I think it's pretty calculated too. Is it there's 6 weeks off of no UFC fights. And I love that too, because all these people that complain about the UFC and complain about this, that, and the third, guess what? There's no UFC for 6 weeks. Now what are you gonna do?
Mhm.
And now what are you gonna talk about? Now who do you have to blame for your problems in life? But the UFC is really good about making announcements during these
Yeah.
times. I think that's calculated to be like, all right, we're gonna wait till there's no fights so that we can make these big announcements and keep
Wow,
everybody relevant.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, totally. Like we talked, like they're totally going to capitalize on. I mean, that's like pulling back the arrow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what they're
yeah,
gonna do,
yeah.
like making these announcements on CBS on football and stuff like that, and having these players at halftime of show, these UFC fighters at halftime of shows and events. So maybe we could do is we could talk about fantasy matchups we want to see, and we'll go from there. Let's get some guests on too. We haven't had guests in a while.
Yeah,
Let's,
we'll get some guests on. We'll play around
yeah,
a bit, but I think that we'll I think there'll be enough news going on.
yeah.
Well, I obviously so next week, and we can finish on this, and then we'll have some good content for next week. But Jake Paul and
Oh
Anthony
yeah,
Joshua fight
right.
next week here in
Yeah.
Miami. So
Looking forward to that one. Yeah, we'll have shit to talk about for sure.
yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm
Yeah.
curious as to see how that plays out, man, or if it even happens. Just
Yeah.
like something's got to get in the way of and save who because somebody's gonna get really embarrassed.
hmm
Either Jake Paul gets like knocked out really bad early, or somehow he pulls off an upset victory over Anthony Joshua. Then Anthony Joshua is embarrassed. But either way, man, there's no realistically good outcome that can happen from this fight.
Right. Yeah, I said the same thing when I put on Netflix. I was like, dude, this is not good. This is actually I haven't even looked at the undercard. I gotta go check out the undercard. Is that Ronda Rousey? Is she not? Is that fight going to happen? Not this weekend. Or who's she fighting? The girl was
Katie Taylor? Is that real?
Katie Taylor.
There's no way.
I hope it's not real.
No
I mean,
way.
that's
a worse mismatch than
that's
Jake Paul
horrible.
and yeah, that's a terrible mismatch.
If she does that, then she's really desperate for attention because there's no reason to do that. There's no reason.
I don't
for
think it's
herself to do
true.
that.
I can't.
Hope
I don't
not.
think it's true. I
I
don't
hope
think
not.
there's
So,
no way she's fighting Katie Taylor.
whew,
Yeah,
Thank
that's not true. Well, Ryan, man, enjoy your first week of nothingness,
yeah.
of no UFC, and we'll be back next week.
All right.
All right. So if you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. And on that note, this court is adjourned.